what's been the most drastic change then in your eyes, guys? Very quickly before we go into the game and in the future, like in terms of what is the one key element that's really of our game or our formation or the manager or the players? What's the one key element that's really getting on your nerves, Lewis, about Liverpool right now?
I don't know, because I can't sit here and say it's because we don't have the personnel, because you look at the players we've got and there's
We
good
don't.
players.
What Scousemo was saying, suggesting that we don't. We brought the wrong profile of player.
I actually
we might
suggested
have
that a
done,
few
but
weeks ago as well. Like,
look,
You did?
we may well have done, man. We might have bought we might have just seen opportunity in the market and went, right,
Yeah.
we can get Frimpong on the Klarna deal for 10 million a year for 3 years, or we can get Isak. There's good players in that team. I just can't accept the fact of how we set up for that City game. I do think it is a case of too many square pegs, round holes. He wants to play a certain style. Last season, when he had Trent in there, who could maybe create from a bit deeper, so he didn't have to venture as far forward. Maybe when you had Diaz, who you could bring on, who's an alternate option to Gakpo instead of a number 10, who you're having to play out wide just to make some sort of change happen when you weren't so... Salah was your only option really on the right because you don't view Chiesa as anything. I just put it down to he doesn't know what his best team is, because there's so many players in that team right now who are all fighting for similar positions. And you can't change too much. We've seen it for us in the past before. When we lost Suarez, we signed 9 players in a hope that, maybe we can just cram it together and hopefully something will work. We scored 49 less goals that following season. You can't just throw shit at the wall and hope that something sticks. And to throw in Frimpong, who's a different profile of fullback, Kerkez, who's a different profile of fullback, bringing in 2 strikers when you've only got 1 striker position, but not replacing the left winger position when you've lost Diaz. Just, it didn't feel like there was ever a plan. And we've sold players who, like right now, I'd be dying to have a Jarrell Quansah in that team. With the way Canate is going, I'd happily throw him back in if the option was there. I'd happily put Diaz in that team on the left wing if he was still there. We've sold players
Tyler
who were
Morton.
so impactful. Tyler Morton, mate, he's been great for Lyon. I know it's the French league, blah, blah, blah. Like, people can say what they want, but we've sold talented players and not replaced their profile because we think, okay, if we just bring in Isak, he'll carry us with goals. If we bring in, I don't know, Frimpong because he's a cheap deal, he'll just instantly click. We've viewed this transfer window more so as a business opportunity, more so than what can get the best out of this team. Because we look at Frimpong and Kerkez and Ekitike and all these lads, Ekitike has been brilliant, but we viewed them as, well, they're only going to increase in value because they're young players who eventually we can sell on for more. We've not viewed it as, right, what does Slot need? Who does he need to bring into this team? Do we need another number 6? Do we need more depth at centre-back? Do we need, it's just been handled poorly. And at the time, we were all going mental because it's the most business we've ever done in a summer window. It's the most money that we've spent in a summer window. And people were saying, finally, we've gone out and we've bought players. That's great. But they're not the profile of players that we absolutely need. They're talented, but they're just not talented in a way that suits what Slot wants. And it really does show just how much work Klopp put into this team, because he inherited that original team, Slot, and managed to get a tune out of it. But I think Klopp had left it in such a situation that anyone could have at the time. It's faded because he just doesn't know what he's doing at the minute.
Ben, Lewis, I agreed with quite a lot with what Lewis said. I don't agree with sort of anyone could have done that with the Klopp team, but I absolutely understand where he's coming from at the moment. The frustration is there for all to see. But I wanted to ask you about the points he made about the profile of player and the replacing of players. So let's just quickly break it down, guys. We replaced Trent, who is probably the most elite ball-playing defender in world football, right? We replace him with someone completely different in Frimpong, who is just another throwback to a dashing winger, wing back, old school. Do you remember? Some of you guys will remember Sean Wright-Phillips. You know the Sean Wright-Phillips, right? Bombing up and down that right wing. That's what he is, right?
Like an Aaron Lennon, isn't he?
Aaron Lennon, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
whereas he has not got a passing range. He's very good in tight situations with 1-2s, right? But he hasn't got, but no one's got the passing range of a Trent. But that's the first. What's the plan? That's the first question of okay. What's the plan with that? Then we've replaced Simicast, who I think is far more suited to what Kirkes is being asked to do now, because Simicast wasn't great on the overlap, but he had good intricate passing and build-up play.
Hmm.
Then
Sometimes.
we don't replace Diaz, who is our ball carrying elite, but instead we replace him with two number nines. Neither of them, and don't care what you guys say, neither of them are false nines. They're both nines, right? Pretty similar. I know we're trying to differentiate them and trying to make it. No, they're both number nines, right? And of course, the tragic passing of Jota. He's right. It's a mishmash of what's the plan. Now, I know we've discussed, and I know everyone's discussing now. Was this window a year behind, ahead, sorry, in terms of this is what we're going to look like post Salah?
No, because I don't think we've finished the signs yet. I think we're halfway from where they think they're going to go. Which they still haven't replaced Salah, for instance, have they? I don't know. I don't even know if someone could tell me what slot ball. I don't think anyone in here knows what that is anymore.
Yeah.
We are not what Feyenoord looked like, to be honest. Look, I don't know, mate. It's really difficult. I personally think if Mark Gay would have came in, I think he'd have been playing left back myself, and he'd move into that half space where we've seemed to do it this year. You've seen his style. I think it was the Frankfurt game. Lou, you're good with the stats and the formations. I've seen the shows that you do. Frimpong's been playing like a wing back at times. You know what I mean? High out wide. I don't know. I really haven't got an answer for you. I think it's very, very strange because, as you said, two number nines. I think more Ekatike is like a 9.5, bit of a hybrid, isn't he? He likes to float around a bit more mobile than Isak from what we've seen up to now. But I don't know, player profile, maybe. I don't know. It's really, really difficult. Really difficult. The problem is the facts are that I think Arne Slot has hit a league title a year too soon, probably. The expectations gone massively up. We wouldn't be as judgmental now if we hadn't won a league title last year, maybe. And I think that's the price you pay, unfortunately. But I do think we are a few players short. I think right, for instance, Chris, can I go to a player in particular right now? Unless Florian Wirtz, for me, I don't think you're going to see the best of him under Arne Slot until we buy an absolute monster centre midfielder. Because you've got to have someone behind him who can win the ball back. If Macca's in there, the lack of legs, maybe his legs look like they're starting to go, for instance. You mentioned Trent. I think Arne Slot couldn't believe what he had on his hands last year. Someone who could get the ball from back to front in seconds. And I think he's finding it hard. He's struggling to build up play, and we look like our creative player now is fucking Kanate, and if that's the case, we are finished. So I don't want to try and just hammer them so much, but the facts are, Liverpool Football Club, and we're fucking garbage at the minute. That is the truth. And do you know, every show that I do with you, Chris, right? I know I try and get fired up for it, but that's because I'm proud of Liverpool. I've got I go to games, so I know what it's like to go all the time. But the facts are, lads, every team we go up against, I expect us to fucking win. The most successful club in England. We can't just be winning a league title and going on our asses the next year. That's not acceptable. So, I don't know, look, got to give the players a bit of time. But one thing for sure, I wouldn't judge them too soon because I think the facts are that the manager's been terrible this season, Chris. And I want him to turn it round. But in my opinion, this is just the truth. I don't see the evidence up to now from this season that he does turn it round.
Scousemo. Ben says he's willing to give, and correct me if I'm wrong. He says, I think he's implying that he's willing to give the players more time, but
The new ones.
the new ones. But I think he's coming to the end of his tether with the manager. Your opinion on that?
It's interesting with the players, especially. I want to know how much involvement Slot had with signing some of these players. Like how much, because when he initially came in, it was told that everyone was saying like he's the first team coach, he's the coach, he's not a manager, he's a coach, and Edwards and Hughes would be in charge of the player transfers. So how much involvement did he have with these players that signed?
I personally think, I'm just putting it out there, I personally think not much.
Zero.
I agree, yeah.
Zero.
Provided for him.
What I think is Slot is, sorry to interrupt, Slot is a yes man for Edwards and Hughes.
I mean, it's probably what he signed up for, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's what you're a coach. Yes, sir. But you get these players. Yes, sir. Whereas they couldn't have done that with Klopp. That's why Klopp had his own.
Well, Klopp did it. Klopp did it for the first few seasons he was there.
Yeah, but then he grew his balls a little
that,
bit, didn't he? Yeah, but
which is right, to be fair. Like
with
the new manager,
any manager in world football would have took them.
I know, but at the same time, I feel like, but they've kind of put them in the shit with this team, like the players in terms of their profiles. Like when they signed these fullbacks, for example, I genuinely thought when they signed the fullbacks and they signed Wirtz, I genuinely thought we would play the same way City played on the weekend, with like the two wingers becoming more narrow, and we're using our fullbacks as flying fullbacks, and then the DM can drop into like a 3 or something when we're in possession. That's genuinely what I thought. I don't think I've seen that unless I'm blind. I don't think I've seen that once this season, to be honest with you. Yeah. Both fullbacks are flying up, Wirtz cutting in from the left. We've seen Wirtz cutting from the left, but we've seen like Robertson, Bradley, they're not really bombing on as much as like the City team was the other day. So that's one thing I question myself. Okay, why has that not happened? Why is that not working? Is it because we want a little bit more defensive stability? Is it because we've had a poor run of form and we're in this rut? So maybe he's going back to the tried and tested from last season. Maybe that's the case. Maybe we're still waiting, and maybe eventually we will get to the position where we're seeing Kerkez and Frimpong just literally as like wingers, and then Salah's going to be more central and Wirtz is going to be more central, and then you've still got your 3 central midfielders. That's how I thought we'll go into the season. The way we have gone into the season is, I don't even understand it. Genuinely, it's strange. There's huge gaps in midfield in almost every game that we play. Like
it's not only midfield, guys,
and in attack as well.
The gaps between in all 3 areas of the pitch, the gaps is ridiculous. Every player seems isolated when he gets the ball.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It doesn't make sense. Like that's the thing. Like if you would have went like the style of play that I'm thinking of, I can imagine our midfield being very like a lot of players being central. Like the wingers are going to be more central. Salah's not going to be drifting out wide, like hugging the touchline. He's going to be more close to the striker. And same with Wirtz, picking up those pockets. But for some reason, it's just like 5 at the back, 5 in attack, and nobody in midfield. And then there's just huge gaps in the attack, huge gaps in defense. It's just bizarre. And I don't understand what it is. Maybe there's no connection with the players. In terms of Slots, me personally, I'm still going to give him time. He's a guy who's delivered me the Premier League trophy at Anfield, the first one that we've seen live. Do you know what I mean? And I had a great time in May, and I was celebrating and I was dancing. I'll give him some more time because we're still in the Champions League, and I feel like
games for him now, Mo, as well.
And there's some. You say that, but I'm looking at it and I'm thinking I'm not too confident. You know, genuinely, I was more confident for City. This is mental. I was more confident for City than I am like Nottingham Forest or Leeds away, or even West Ham away now in their little resurgence.
Yeah. I'm telling you now, I can't wait to ask you lot on the eve of the game again. All right, lads, what's the predictions?
I will tell you then.
You're all going to come out with your 4-0. Smash them.
Sean Dyche ball, isn't it?
But one thing's for sure, lads. Up until Christmas, right? We do want him to do well, but he cannot lose another Premier League game.
No chance. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like if he loses some in the next 3, if he loses one of them, I dare him. Genuinely, I dare him.
I'm gonna get Welsh Mo's. Lewis, get me the next 5 league fixtures, please, when you can. Welsh Mo. Just on the back of Ben's bombshell, kind of. Well, it's not Ben's bombshell. It's quite.
Do you want the fixtures?
No. Where are we in terms of? Where do you think the fan base? What kind of percentage are we looking at now, guys? In terms of slot in and slot out, 60-40.
Yeah, generally when you see the discourse online.
Yeah,
but like you can't. But that's online now. I still think it's 50-50 if I'm honest, and I think like
hold on. Scousemo, you think it's 60-40 in?
60 in, 41 out.
Yeah, but
percentage
you
wise.
think it's worse, Mo, than basically.
I think
you're
people
thinking
are
it's
split
worse.
I think people are split down the middle at the moment. I genuinely do think that.
This is
But
a problem, Mo. This is a problem we've got at the minute.
100%. There's no connection within the team, and there's no connection with the fans at the moment. And I generally think every fan, myself especially, in my head, I'm giving them until January, and let's see where we are. These next run of games till January. If it's a shit show, then you got to go.
But the thing is, if he does go, if he does go, there's no manager that's going to come in and fix this. Genuinely,
No.
what do we do?
Alonso's having problems apparently. So
unless you get Lewis and Enrique, he's going to leave.
We're not in a position like we were years ago where... Do you remember when Benitez left and it was like, okay, just bring Hodgson in. Okay, he's going. Bring Kenny back for a bit. Oh, he's going. Just get Brent. Like, you could bring in whoever you wanted and it would sort of be, okay, maybe this will be positive, because we were in such a shit position. We're not in a position like that. We're in a position where we can only bring in top quality managers because there's no one here that we can just go, right, you in, that'll do. We've not signed Slot because we thought he's going to win the league straight away and then he's going to go. You signed a Jose Mourinho for that from like 10 years ago. We've signed him because we think he's going to be a long-term project. The issue, like Ben said perfectly before, is he's won the league far too early. I've said it before, only 2 managers have come in our history and won the league in their first seasons, and that's Joe Fagan and Kenny Dalglish. And both seasons following winning the league, they finished second. But it's such a hard task to do, and he's done it far too early. Not in like a, I'm happy he did, I'm thrilled he did, but that's why this expectation's here. And we're not in a position right now where we can just bring in an Oliver Glasner from Palace and think, yeah, he'll get it going. We can only sign a certain caliber of manager to get this going in the way that we want it to go, because we're back to that standard.
Go on, Ben.
You need inspiration off the sideline, because the facts are showing with all these defeats that they're not getting up for games. Yeah. In all the defeats, we've been fucking garbage.
And people say that we've signed loads of players. Yeah, we have. And I don't buy that as an excuse.
1 or 2 are only starting at the minute, Mo.
Well, Sunderland signed 17 players.
17
players they signed. And they're a championship side in the Premier League with a brand new manager who's never managed a single game in the Premier League. Yeah. And they're 4th. So I don't buy that excuse. There's too many players integrating. They've integrated 11 players. So it has to come. All roads lead back to the manager, I'm afraid. And it leads back to the tactics and no identity. And that feeds onto the players. Yes, we got a bit of fight at home, because at home the crowd are on. We're there. We're lively. We spur them on. If you can't get up for away games when you're champions, everybody treats Liverpool away as a cup final. We're the only people who don't treat it as a cup final. We turn up away and we get...
How is that possible, though, guys? I don't understand it. So you guys are intimating, right? And I don't agree with you guys about it's a lack of effort. I don't think it's a lack of effort. I've seen them run their bollocks off. I just don't think...
Not lack of effort. It's like, sorry to interrupt. Just away from home, there's something not right. He's not getting them up for it. And there must be a reason why.